Scoop, how are you, man? Great to have Scoop Skolnick on the show.
Good to be with you guys.
Good morning, Scoop.
I have to, I mean, I really love the story of you and your daughter. And we go back to when, things were evolving in a negative direction. And were going through a lot there at that time when we were in the Lappa Nation doing radio. And so I totally empathize because the kid is the most important part of coming out of these things. And I'm really, it's so heartening to see, what you've done with Sasha over the years. But to take your daughter to the dance moves, I mean, are you going to get a lot of shit? You talk to these athletes, and you're very close to them, and a lot of them have rhythm, and they can dance, and they sort of, have a secondary, very strong interest in music and this sort of thing. The moves, Scoop, I have to say, were highly questionable. No? I mean, your daughter is I mean, she's terrific. I mean, Peggy Fleming on the ice, and she dances like she's J-Lo, but yeah, I mean, I was good. I'm glad you got out there, though, Scoop. No self-consciousness whatsoever.
No, there was self-consciousness. I don't think there's an accurate assessment, but you really in those situations have no choice, right? So that's how that plays out. I mean, both you and I believe
I'm a horrible dancer, so I respect that you tried.
Jewish persuasion.
We're all part of a certain persuasion, and there's there in this tribe, there's just no room for dancing issues, apparently, because none of us are any good at it. So that's sort of how that plays. I mean, you can't really do the hora, or is that
was that I could probably
lift people on the chairs, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like that's it's not really going to work. There's one Jewish rapper. What's his name? Metzi. I know somebody who you went to.
Was Vanilla Ice?
Matis Yahoo.
He may be. I'm not sure, but.
That was great, and very, very. I mean, it's a joy to see, Scoop. So, congratulations on the fine job you've done under what are not the easiest of circumstances for a lot of people. Although it probably is mellowed out over time, as these things tend to do. All right, we were talking about the Dolphins. I said, I don't know. I mean, a good way to characterize it. I was thinking, well, what is more suspect than like a Rudy Giuliani election fraud brief? But I mean. What did you think of the early play calling in that game? I know you were there, and we saw you at Perk. All of these screen passes. Lubie was screaming about it. What did you make of that, their approach?
Mic check. Okay. Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. The humidity, the heat, they're here, and they ravage our homes and our offices. But no worries. Whether it's water or fire issues, Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you to make all those problems go right away. 954-579-0356. 954-579-0356. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you. They were here for my wife. They were here for myself. They will be there for you. With over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, George, their entire team, they will not only correct what ails you, they will make it look brand new because of their licensed, certified, insured contractors on staff. It makes life so much easier to know someone like this is in your corner. 954-579-0356. WCUFL.com is their website. At Water Cleanup FL on the socials. Believe me, if you have the schmutz, Water Cleanup of Florida has the guts. The Miami Dolphins were very schmutzy through almost 3 quarters. It took a miraculous play by Javon Holland as the Jags were about to go up by 17 down here in South Florida. The Dolphins turned it around, got a 3-point victory with Tyreek Hill getting pulled over and put on the ground by police for speeding before the game, for Tua struggling early but finding his way. The Dolphins are victorious in game 1-0. We talk with Mr. 5 Reasons Sports himself, Ethan Skolnick, about the Dolphins' victory and what lies ahead here. The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Well, I think first thing, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of trust in the interior line to get off the ball and just run it. And, I thought actually one of the more important things that happened in that game is not the big plays, although they needed the big plays. They're going to need the big plays in every game, obviously, just the way they're constructed. But the small plays that they made, which were, basically just lining up and giving the ball to the fullback or giving the ball to Wilson at the end of that game, like that ended up closing the game for them, and put them in position to get the 2 field goals. Obviously, the Sanders only made one of them, but I just think they need to be simpler sometimes. Honestly, he gets overly creative and cute. And I know he's playing to his talent base and he's trying to avoid certain things. Again, the line can only hold for so long. And so you throw a lot of these screen passes and all that. I was surprised to see the PFF had, because 3 of the Dolphins linemen were like 3 of their 6 best performers on Sunday, which again, makes me either question my eyes or their grading system. But they had Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg both very high in their grades, like over 75, which was a pretty good number. So they obviously liked what they were doing play to play, but it didn't seem to be generating any push or any rhythm. And I thought Tua was a little off early. I don't think he was quite on. And then you had the throw he made to Berrios on the 4th down. He was a little late with it. Berrios probably should have caught it anyway. But you could see there was an opening where he could have gotten him in more space. There were a couple of those. I thought he kind of got his sea legs as the game went on. And I also, I do think there's something to the fact that, you're the number one player in the league, basically the catalyst to your entire offense, has an incident before the game.
That was some incident, as it turned out.
Right, and then you come in, and now it's like we're asking guys to be human. We're asking guys not to be human, basically, like not to be affected by it whatsoever. If you're a coaching staff, you had to wonder kind of where his head was at after that. Again, without getting into the specifics of the incident, which apparently you can't even ask about it. Like, this is how polarizing it is. I literally just threw a poll up because I'm seeing all this. I want to know where our audience is on it, I guess, where the community is on it, because I interact with them all the time. And so I have an opinion on it. Okay, after seeing the video, and the whole entire video yesterday, but you can't. I couldn't even ask. I simply asked, like a poll, like who is most at fault in this situation? Police, Tyreek, both. The results came in kind of as I expected, but then I got, how could you dare ask this question? And I'm like, it's a question. I'm just trying to see where people are at with it, particularly because it's become a national story.
Yes.
It's becoming. It was.
I saw Tyreek on CNN last night.
He was
on last night. The Dolphins have been very aggressive about it, which again I very much appreciated and applauded their statement yesterday, because I thought that it's very tough to kind of, as a statement, to write a statement like that kind of covers all of it, where it doesn't blame the police as an institution, but at the same time, cites what happened in that situation. Okay. And I thought it was a well-written, well-constructed statement. And you got, Defo, from years of me working around you, I'm not one to generally praise the Dolphins offhand, because I tend to think the Heat handle things better than them over the years, on, matters big and small. But I thought that was well done by them. But if anybody thinks this issue is going away, it's not. Because of the history to it, the backstory with Kaepernick a few years ago. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if the candidates are asked about it tonight.
Oh, really?
As a way to get
your
into
man
this
Trump
issue.
should handle that well.
Right. That's the thing.
He just got the endorsement for Eternal Order. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I could absolutely see it being used as a question tonight, where, you basically, because he's basically said that police should have total and complete immunity, right?
Yes.
That's his words. I know he's also said he was pro-abortion or anti-abortion. Well, he's changed that 12 times, but I'm just saying, like he has said that, and so I could absolutely see a moderator reshaping a question. Said, you've said that in all cases, and trust me, he's seen the video by now. I'm sure his people have shown it because they're debate prepping. So if that ends up being asked, then this issue escalates even more, because we know that people are not rational about the political element of this on either side at this point. So it's just, so all this is to say, you have this thing happen right before the game. Team comes out a little flat, out of rhythm, and it felt like it took them some time. And honestly, if Javon Holland doesn't make that play, they lose. And then we're having a whole question about, then we're having a whole question as we go forward about whether or not that situation is what led to the loss. I know that's the way that narrative would have been painted, because they'd scored 7 points at that point through like the middle of the third quarter. So I could absolutely, the Javon Holland play saved that day for them in all ways.
Well, no doubt about it. Go ahead,
and that's the thing is like, we've talked about this. Your former co Jason Cole has talked about this with us. Like the first month of the preseason now is nothing. It just they don't even try to make it anything anymore. So it's really the first month of the season is turned into like the pseudo preseason, and that's what you saw around the league, and that's what you saw. The Tyreek thing definitely had an effect on Tyreek. He really didn't get his footing until the second, third quarter. Same thing with Tua. I mean, Tua just looked off. And yeah, he's not great under pressure, but even when he was getting pressure, he was off until the end of the third quarter when he finally linked up with Tyreek. And as I guess you guys pointed out, that wasn't even it was not only linking up with Tyreek, it was him doing the thing he supposedly can't do where he shakes off a first read. And not only shook off a first read, it was a first read that actually was open. Like I first was like, why isn't he throwing it to Waddle? It was him being patient in a rare good pocket and finding Tyreek even more open and letting them just sort of explode onto the scene. And from that point on, even though the score was only 3, they sort of were in control after that. It was a weird dichotomy for me because McDaniel started out in the same fashion where he does a lot of this cute shit. And it's like, dude, try a run. Because they would run it here and there and it would get them 2, 3, 4 yards. So if it's 3rd and 3, why are you doing a screen where you go fucking backwards 4 yards? Like, I never liked that play. And it rarely works giving the defense a head start like that. But at the end,
that was a Gase play.
Yeah, I said no, but they threw like 15 screens. I'm like, is Adam Gase the goddamn coach again? Like, what's going on? But at the end, it showed a little maturity when people like me were like, shoot, I don't trust Sanders at all. I know you've belittled Sanders. Are you really going to grind out the clock and kick a 50-something yarder with Jason Sanders? But old McDaniel wouldn't have. Old McDaniel would have tried to throw. Tua would have taken a goddamn sack like he did earlier in the game. They would have lost a field goal opportunity, and they probably would have lost that game. The fact that he was patient, he ran the ball, they made it a makeable field goal for Jason Sanders, and he made it by like 10 yards. I was like, okay, maybe he's showing something. I just would like to see that more throughout the game. I'd like to see him not be so freaking cute, and he continues to do it, and that's what my issues, reservations are with him.
I think that's why he had a reaction to my question because it was self-deprecating on his part, which it typically is. But I talked about the small plays, the end of the game, the short yardage stuff. He goes, well, because we're the number 1 team in the league on short yardage, and I'm thinking, wait a second, did I get that wrong? And he's come back at me. He's like, no, he's making fun of the fact that they're not.
Rough.
Right.
So he's aware of the perception, and look, as observers, as fans, as whatever, we don't know everything that's going on 11 on 11 there, okay, that causes him or what he's seen in certain coverages or what to make him decide, okay, we have to go on the outside here because we can't get this play up the middle. So there is, there's something to be said that they know more infinitely than we do about this. But I also do think with him that which is interesting because he was a run game coordinator in San Francisco. But I do think with him, there is always going to be a push to do the most creative, aggressive thing possible. And I know, and so I just think that's his inclination, and he's going to go back to that. It's why I think he'd rather lose doing what he believes is the best counter to what the defense is going to do to him than to kind of play into conventional wisdom, even if it may be more successful most of the time. I just think it's the way he's conditioned. I think he has a certain way that he thinks is going to work against this, and he wants to. And we can call that stubbornness. I mean, we get some of that with the head coach in Miami too, where he do certain things. Like fans want to know why he starts 6'5" guys at the power forward position, like. But he has a certain belief about offensive basketball and the way that things work, and that's just the way that is. And I think in both cases you're dealing with bright guys who again have had success doing it the way they've done it, and so he's going to do it. But Lubie, I'm with you on the frustration of it because they apparently can pick up a yard if they need to. Like and their fullback got it done, and they did keep a big back, to be able to do that. And they used them. I'll say this, I'm not surprised Mostert struggled because I've had this kind of feeling that he's going to have a big drop off this year. As much as I like Raheem, I think, and Achane gets hurt pretty easily. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the run game.
Where's Pete Johnson when you need him? I know you might have to run, Scoop, but I did want to get a quick thought if you have time on the Buffalo Bills coming up. I mean, it's right around the corner. They come right back out there. Neither team looked particularly sharp, especially offensively. The Bills were trailing the Cardinals throughout most of the game on their home field. And the Dolphins, we saw, struggled mightily to come out with a victory against Jacksonville at home. What do you make of this matchup? And I mean, how much different do you expect week number 2 to be around the NFL from week number 1, where it looked like everybody was showing ring rust?
I think it'll be a little different, but again, they got such a short run here that I think that you almost have to put in your plan for 2 games, even though the teams are so different. Now, the one benefit to Miami is called a benefit or detriment. They know this team. I mean, the Bills have changed some pieces, but they know this team. So the prep is going to be pretty standard. I mean, the prep pretty much starts with Josh Allen, and then everything works off of that. And I don't think a lot changed in that first game in terms of what Buffalo did that will change Miami's approach here. So, the bad thing is they've lost 10 of 11 to them. And it's not like that's not one of those empty stats. I mean, the quarterback has been the same. So it's that's the issue, and McDaniel's aware of it. And but I think they looked at these games as a 2-game grouping, and I'm sure that there are things that they put in. And the benefit is they had all a camp to prepare. It's not like they didn't know who the second opponent was going to be, and they didn't know it was going to be, 3 days off or 4 days off in between, something like that. So, I mean, to me, this is again, it's about keeping Allen from hurting you the other ways. He's really hurt them with his legs over the years, and that needs to be controlled. And I also think, like I said, let's see how healthy the Dolphins running backs are. They got both Mostert and Achane on the injured list, right? Or they were questionable, or they didn't practice yesterday. So it's kind of a doubt, but I feel like one of them at least will get elevated by Thursday, so they should be okay. And they drafted Jalen Wright, I think, for this reason, so we may get a look at him on Thursday night. But look, they have to beat this team. I mean, this is I say must win early in the season, but it's a must win early in the season because it's the home game against them. They get them later in the year on the road, which is not going to be easy. And you do not want to have a situation where you get swept by Buffalo, because then you're not winning the division probably. And even though I think the Jets are wholly overrated, and I've said that all off season, and I think we saw that last night.
All right, well, slow down in that Maserati as you're making your way into the stadium, even if you're going to be late for the buffet.
I drove right by this, literally, I drove right by this. Then all of a sudden I'm getting texts, and I'm thinking it's AI, because these days you can't trust anything.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, people say I'm Tyreek, and I'm like, okay, this is just some more bullshit. And the bullshit has continued. Because the theory is online. People are saying he went 120 and a 40. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not justifying the speeding. Okay, I'm not.
No one's
everything
going 120 there. Yeah.
No, I mean, literally, there'd be 12 people dead. I hate to say it, but you can't even go. I'm surprised he was able to go whatever he went, 55 or 60, without crashing into somebody. I mean, that's when everybody starts arriving for parking, and let's be honest, they don't, I will say this: police really don't know what they're doing as far as sending people to the parking areas.
Total chaos.
No, it's a disaster.
I have the same pass. I have the same pass every time, and I'm sent to 4 different places. Yes. So it's it's not, again, not condoning the speeding or the reckless driving. Okay, but just saying, don't send me any letters.
They did add 2 years to Derek Chauvin's sentence as a result of the body cam video coming out. This guy's going to do more time. I mean, it looked very much like the Floyd incident from many years ago. Scoop, I know you got to run. 5 Reasons Sports Network. You guys are on top of everything. And how can people find you guys online?
5 Reasons Sports on Twitter. We do have a lot of Dolphins content. I just want to mention that on the YouTube channel. We appreciate what you guys send over as well. We've got Pulse Phins Nation tonight at 7:30, and we've got Inside Leverage show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So we have a lot of coverage, and also myself and Alex Dono will be on today. I don't know if we're going to touch this thing or not. I really don't. I can't. I don't know. I feel like we should talk football, but it's this is CNN. There's been a lot of these where CNN has gotten involved in South Florida things over the years. Bully Gates, right? I mean, it's been. But once they do, it's over. So it's over. We've lost the plot here. Anyway.
All right. Yeah, I know you got to run. You got 1,000 podcasts to do today. So always a pleasure, Ethan. Thanks so much, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Always enjoy talking to Ethan Skolnick. Yes, he's our go-to guy when it comes to the Miami Heat. Covered the Heat for years. But he also covered the Miami Dolphins 40 years. He knows the organization well. Still going to the games, covering the team for us here at 5 Reasons Sports Network. Always enjoy talking to him. Yeah, it sort of overshadowed. Well, look, we didn't know exactly what happened. We know he was pulled over, but you never know. And he has a checkered, not only past, but a present, Tyreek Hill. So it was there, but the game sort of happened. But after the game, especially after yesterday, the body cam video coming out showing that Tyreek Hill really didn't do anything. He just got pulled over for speeding. Would have taken the ticket, but the cops took it pretty clearly too far. That seems to become a topic. I'm sure it'll go forward. We'll see. The Dolphins have handled it well. Tyreek Hill ended up playing well. Tua ended up playing well in that fourth quarter. I presume the Dolphins will be on their A game versus the Buffalo Bills. They are at home. It is a night game. And the humidity is still very high here as it is not in Buffalo. So we will see what happens Thursday night at the Rock, Hard Rock Stadium. We'll talk more about that. Talk college football. The Canes are one of the not few. There's still a lot of teams undefeated, but they're among those teams, and they're around top 10 in the country. The Knowles struggling. The Gators, FIU, UCF, USF. We have college football on the brain, so we'll talk more about that as well. Check us out each and every morning, the Defo Show with Lubie on South Florida Live, both the YouTube or Facebook. Check us out with our national podcast, the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Have some fun conversations in and out of the world of sports there. And here, our South Florida skewed content, the Devo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.